Have you checked the children? Your little man sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes. That is what
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird,
Robert the Wolfman.
and we are here to review another quality Hulu output. Second big one this year. No, third big one this year. Fresh was also a Hulu release. Yes.
Well, fucking A, Cotton.
And so we had Fresh, we had Prey, and now we have the brand new Hulu release. What are we talking about? Hellraiser. Brain fart. Yes, we are here. So yes, we are here to talk about Hellraiser, the 2022 reboot by David Bruckner.
Yep.
That is the one who is directing this film, and quite honestly, I am glad that he did so, because this is, in my opinion, just jumping at it right out of the gate, this is probably the most entertaining Hellraiser movie to me since the second one.
I would agree. I still tell people 1 through 3 are the more worthwhile ones.
I like 3. It starts getting a little weak, though.
Yeah, 4 is like the final, like, okay, maybe call
I
it
love
origin.
the original quadrilogy, yes.
Yeah, because you finally got a little wraparound on the origin of the mecha configurations.
And the end.
Yes, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's what ultimately happens far in space.
It is. Yeah, it is.
It destroys
it's
the
Hellraiser
configuration
in space.
one more time. Yeah.
Yep.
It destroys the box one final time.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I know that space was probably like 2020. Because it came out in 1990, whatever.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
So yeah, it was
probably
probably
like 2040, 2070, something. I don't know.
Either way, big digression. What is your thoughts on this Hellraiser?
I actually really dug the direction what they did with it. Obviously, I knew from the beginning that they weren't going in the original direction of like from the novella from Clive Barker, but I was okay with that, especially with some of the details that I did know of, and then seeing the early release photos of our Hell Priest. Holy crap, I was already sold. And once we got into the movie and saw the new designs, I'm sold. I really dug the direction what they went with this new story.
Yes. There's a lot of people that may complain that it didn't follow Barker's original story as the first in this new universe of Hellraiser, so to speak. Like, as Fuego would put it, this is another turn of the wheel. As Marvel would say, this is another in the line of multiverses.
Yeah,
right?
It's a parallel universe.
Parallel universe, exactly. But this is a whole new Hellraiser continuity, redoing it from the start, but with a different original story that we see introducing the Cenobites in this particular world. And the question becomes, does the film stand on its own, right? That's the biggest thing. Even if it doesn't follow the original source material as closely as one might hope, is the story still worth it? And I think it was.
I think it was too. There were some things, at least when we get into the graphics, that I wish they did more of.
Okay.
But for the most part, I was definitely happy with the direction that they went, especially too with they weren't following the original tropes of the Cenobites.
Right.
We had familiar characters, especially between the Hell Priest and then Chatterer, especially.
Chatterer, and then the other one with the scalp peeled away.
Oh yeah, she was
very reminiscent of his
right hand, basically.
His right hand Cenobite. Can't say
Yeah.
right hand woman. We don't know for sure. You know.
The Sergeant.
She actually has a name in the Hellraiser comics. I can't remember what they called her.
I know, because she had her own.
They just called her the female for a while.
Something wasn't that, but she had her own couple little strings of comics solo, right?
No, but there was a couple of issues where it focused on her.
Okay, so that's what I'm thinking of.
Yes. But yeah, so this film does its own thing, and it tells its own Hellraiser story. It tells its own origin of the box right here, except it's a brand new version of the box, and this is a very cheesy Rubik's Cube version of the original box, so forgive it.
We were just talking about that. I'm like, Buster, you need to get yourself some new Hellraiser stuff.
I do. I need an actual Chucky doll. I need an actual Hellraiser box. But honestly, after watching this, I want the new box design.
Oh, absolutely.
They actually made some decisions with this one that were shown in the trailer, so we're not really spoiling anything. By the way, as of right now, almost 9,000 of you have gone to watch the trailer reaction that we did for the movie, so appreciation for that. But yeah, the movie did not disappoint. We were both very excited about it.
Absolutely. Again, it was going back to because they were developing and expanding on the lore, so they're
Right.
adding new things.
They're deepening it.
They were, and I'm all about this
Yes.
new lore, especially with the multiple configurations. 'Cause
Yes.
each one ends up meaning something.
Especially the lament, which is the traditional one.
Exactly.
Love it. Love it.
But also, too, the direction how they wrote Cenobites, it's more of a curiosity on this time versus their original of just pain and suffering. Which it's not really spoilers because they've already talked about it and whatnot.
Yeah.
They have a different motive within this movie.
A little bit, yeah. So, yeah, we don't want to spoil anything. We're not going to spoil anything, so we're just going to leave some things to the vagueness. It's definitely worth your time, but let's get into the story of it. So,
take over the story.
Yes, the story begins with this. Well, it actually starts with the part from the trailer where there's a young man who finds this different look of the box. It's like a long version of the box, and he starts playing with it, and then this rich man comes out of the shadows and is like, no, go ahead, you can touch it, and the rich guy's like, it's a puzzle. And the guy's like, do I get a prize if I solve it? And he's like, I do. And then the guy solves this stage of it, and something happens. In the trailer it shows, but what ends up happening is it ends up calling some familiar entities. And then we end up flash forwarding about 6 years, and we meet this young girl, and we find out that she is living with her brother and his boyfriend and their close friend, and she is a recovering addict, and she is dating someone that all of her close family and friends don't necessarily approve of.
Well, he's also part of the AA program as well.
Yes. And so,
I believe.
While they're hanging out, she mentions that she definitely is in a bad place financially, and he suggests a different kind of score where they both go and they find a very familiar box. And from that point, her life starts to become more and more complicated the longer that she holds on to said box.
True.
That's as much as pretty much I can say without spoiling.
Yeah, legitly. Because, at that point, we would start getting into too much of the spoiler stuff for the story.
So how did you like how the story played out, being that it was so different from the source material?
I enjoyed it more, again, because they weren't trying to recreate the old stuff. So that...
The old stuff still stands alone. It was
it
1987. It's not like it was an old movie.
That's true. I'm just saying, because, again, it's not... The original Hellraisers followed more closer to the original source material than what this one technically does.
Yes, it is in story-wise, but in portrayal
Lore,
of Pinhead, this one is more accurate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Lore and things like that, this is actually more accurate for the original source material. But no, I am very happy with how they went with the story on this. It left me a little bit more satisfied than I thought I was going to be, but there were at times I wish they showed and delved a little bit deeper.
Yes, I mean, the gore lover in me could have dealt with a bit more in that arena, but it's not like there wasn't any. It was an entertaining story for me. I liked the characters, like that's a thing. I mean, some characters are more appreciable than others, but it's not like the main character. I've heard some issues saying the main character was unlikable. I didn't bump up against that. I felt like it was a recovering addict dealing with extraordinary circumstances.
Well, exactly. Well, where I feel people were talking about where they felt like they kind of didn't enjoy her at times was some of her bad decisions and everything that happened that kind of just was a spiral in times. But
it all felt on
for the most part, yes. I know. I'm not saying because I was a lot happier with the acting and the writing of the characters.
Yeah. The acting in this was really good.
It was
I have to say, for a Hellraiser movie, because we had so many entries before now, and after 4, it started to decline. There was a couple of high spots, and like Inferno is pretty regarded as a good one. That's the detective one.
Yeah, Inferno is actually one that I like, but again, Inferno was
I actually kind of liked Hellworld too, to be honest.
It was okay, but again, even those were ones that were written as other movies and then rewritten into a Hellraiser movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where that, and like there are times where it's like
this was clearly Hellraiser through and through from the beginning.
It was, but also it threw in points, especially for people that have gone through like the recovery stage.
Yes, I
So-
agree with that. Yeah, no, honestly, a lot of that would hit more if you've gone through that, I think. You're right. You're right. It actually does hit that pretty hard. And yeah, that's a good segue into the acting. So the acting was pretty strong in this film. We, it was a point that we were both very, like, there's a couple of scenes that happen early on where I turned to Robert, I was like, okay, the acting's here, like I was like really impressed from the very beginning with the brother-sister relationship. Very on point, very believable.
The brother-sister dynamic, I think, was the highlight of the acting for this, but also our main girl, Odessa Azion, I believe is how it's pronounced, as Riley. She was kick-ass. She did a nice carry of the film. I'm not familiar with any of her stuff from previous.
Me neither, but she did an excellent job. I agree. I think she was captivating. She was very entertaining as the character.
We do have to talk about Jamie Clayton as the Hell Priest.
Yes. Jamie Clayton.
Solid.
Awesome. I mean, not a whole lot of movement acting, but Pinhead never is. But Jamie did such an excellent job for what the script showed and was really awesome. Just, very honestly, if a new Pinhead had to embody the essence of the Doug Bradley Pinhead and yet carry the weight of being more book accurate, this is what Jamie Clayton did.
I definitely would agree, and I said that too in our review or our trailer reaction review or whatever, that they got the pitch of the voice a lot more accurate to what they described in the book. It was,
but the stoicism and the outward projection of regalness,
angels to some,
was
demons
all
to
there.
others,
Yeah,
definitely captured that with the design of the Cenobites.
Well, that's another thing. Well, we'll get to that in the effects.
Yeah.
We'll get to that sort of design aspect of it. But yeah, acting wise, I mean, everyone was super on point.
Absolutely, between our creatures playing, people playing Cenobites.
Yep.
Side characters, everything.
Yeah, true. There was a lot of Cenobites in this one. Usually there's only a few different types, but this one had like 5 or 6 or 7 different types total.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, so that was really entertaining.
I still want to see the fucking the Hellhound from.
Oh, I'm
from
sure we'll get there in the future. Like they'll have to figure out an interesting way to do it. Yeah, I mean. So let's get into the actual filmmaking and the sound design and all that stuff. I thought that it was very well made. The shots were gorgeous. The cinematography was really well presented. The sound design was awesome. And I really dug the score, too. The score was very on point with what the original score was. In fact, they went back to the original score at a pivotal moment in the movie, and I thought that was really awesome. But overall, the score that they presented was really cool.
I would agree. I honestly don't really have much to add up on that. Like we're pretty much on the same boat.
The sound design, though, did you like the sound design with the chains and the flesh and the ripping?
I definitely enjoyed that, but again, I feel like it didn't unnerve me as much as I felt like it should.
That might be fair. It was presented. I tell you what. While there is gore in this and stuff like that, it is presented in a much slicker Hollywood way compared to the down and dirty, almost grindhouse presentation of the original film.
Yeah.
Right? You really felt dirty.
Like
you felt the grime and you felt the nastiness and the dirt with all the blood mixed and
like the Hellraisers, they're dressing up and everything. Like they have a bow tie, not a tie, so it's like, fancy but not super fancy.
Yeah. It's just a little bit cleaned up.
Yeah.
It's just it's still terrifying, but it's just a little bit cleaned up. Even the Cenobites, or when there's flesh tearing for different reasons, there's not a lot of blood spurting from these flesh tears where it should be. So it's a bit sanitized in that way, I guess you could say, but only really in retrospect. As I was watching, I felt like everything was appropriate.
For the most, again, and like none of that pulled me out at the moment.
No, correct.
This is all stuff that I've been thinking about and whatnot throughout.
Yeah, we watched it earlier today. I wanted to give us at least a few hours to ruminate on it and really figure out where we land. I still really love the movie. I mean, I think it was an outstanding...
I will definitely watch this again when it's available to own on Blu-ray. I will definitely be picking it up.
Personally, I think that the presentation of the Cenobites, the presentation of the lore, and the story are the highlights for the film. Like, I really liked what they did, like they really gave the box itself a purpose. And not only that, but a repeatable chain of events that would easily be told in future movies.
Well, exactly.
And
Again,
this is just, it's not that the box, it's cyclical, right? I love that, and I really liked, again, without spoiling, I really liked the lore expansion that this film provided.
Because there was a reasoning for each different configuration.
Right.
It was, and again, like they've already talked.
This
about
was in the trailer.
Yeah,
right.
and they've already talked about this. Like, it's not your typical like puzzle box. Like there's
it's an evolving box.
Yeah, there's a reason why each configuration is the way it is. And I'm totally all about this. Honestly,
And all of them, honestly, again, without spoiling, all of the configurations come into play in a much bigger way than you anticipate by the end, and it's really fucking cool.
Yep. Honestly, I want to segue over to the effects and the set and everything like that.
Go ahead.
So let's start off with the fucking awesome redesign of our Cenobites. So originally, obviously, you guys know it was the 80s, so you know.
Heavy leather.
Yeah, heavy leather, BDSM, you know, pain is pleasure, all that fun stuff, you know. So.
Huh?
Yeah. Anyways, so the redesign of this, in a sense, it's leather, but it's human. It's their flesh.
Yes, there's
their
no
flesh
longer
recreated into
leather
clothing.
garments. Yeah, their flesh has been reconfigured into clothing, and it's really awesome and disturbing and creative all at once. And there are, just like the original series, every Cenobite is unique looking. They even show in the book, one of the parts of the book that she finds that's like, here's the Cenobite lore, essentially. It's the lore of the box. And one of the pages talks about how every Cenobite has a uniquely tortured appearance. And they really lean into that, where there's
separate personalities is what they really ended up doing. Because each one had like their own semi backstory for the originals. But
right. I would watch a short film about any single one of those. We need to get, again, this is why Hellraiser is the best, in my opinion, the best horror property for anthological storytelling. Because literally, you could have an entire season of a show just telling the backstories of different Cenobites.
And how they're...
Every episode is how and why they became a Cenobite.
Yeah, what led them to basically their recreation.
I mean, that story just fucking... You just go to your favorite creators, your favorite directors, your favorite writers, and be like, you do an episode, you do an episode, you do an episode, and boom, you have like one of the strongest anthologies of all fucking time. Love Hellraiser.
Copyright.
Love Hellraiser.
That's our
for
idea.
this kind of stuff. Love Hellraiser for this kind of stuff. So this is just, I'm just so excited about this because it's been so long since we've had a truly great Hellraiser film, and this to me stands side by side with 1, 2, and this. Like, this really outdid itself. I'm super on board for it, and I loved it. I want to see more from this right now.
Absolutely. Now, I am stoked to see, and I fingers crossed. It would be ridiculous if they don't end up continuing after this. But one other effect I want to highlight on is the changing of the rooms.
Yes. Yeah, I pointed this out during the film.
Yeah, because again, they show it during the trailer and everything. Like during certain parts, like rooms change and.
So in the original film,
other realms.
In the original film, when the wall opens, the wall literally just opens, and there's a crack in it, and there's a hallway behind it. What they did this time that was so interesting is that the rooms would open like a puzzle box, and it was so fucking creative. Like there was just so many creative choices made for the film. It was really amazing. And then there was something else. Again, I don't want to spoil the moment, but at one point there's an escape in a van. And I had something in my head. I was like, if they did this, it would be so cool. It was in my head. I didn't say it out loud, so I'm not trying to be like, ooh, hipster about it. But literally, I had this thought, like, if they did this, it would be so fucking unique and creative. And then, like, 120 seconds later, they did that shit. And I was like, oh my God, they're actually doing it. And it was so fucking cool and creative.
It did look really cool.
So many really creative decisions in this film. And respecting the lore, expanding the lore with respect, giving good performances. I mean, this really is an all-around... I mean, if I was rating it out of 10, I'd give this shit a 9 to a 9.5, honestly. For me. I loved it that much. Probably solid 9.
I'd give it an 8.5.
I mean, that's close.
Yeah.
I really dug the hell out of this movie. Truly. So, yeah, guys.
If you haven't watched this, get up off your ass and get back down on your ass and turn on Hulu and watch this movie.
Watch it. I'm bummed I didn't see it in the theater, but honestly, I'm glad I can watch it again and again. I will, like Prey. I watched Prey again within a couple of days. I will watch this again within a couple of days because this is the Hellraiser movie I would rewatch, and I will rewatch. And this is a success. I'm super glad that it was as successful as it was because I have high hopes for the future now.
We're going to have to update our Hellraiser tier list ranking.
You're right. You're right. We do. Okay, fair enough. We'll do an update to that soon. So thank you guys very much for watching. Let us know in the comments down below if you've watched it. What do you think of it? Are you excited about it? Were you planning to skip it? Did this sway your opinion? Let us know in those comments down below. Thank you very much to all of our patrons for supporting the channel the way that you do. We are greatly, greatly appreciative to each and every one of you. Until next time, though, I've been Cecil Laird.
Robert the Wolfman.
Stay tuned. We're going to be back next week, of course, with our review of Halloween Ends. And then we'll be squeezing in a review of Werewolf by Night at some point along the way as well.
Goddamn Scumpy.
Thank you, guys. Until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
And again, Robert the Wolfman.
Did I already do that?
Yes, we did. But
Of
who
course.
cares?
And
Because
remember,
stay
stay scared.